So before those senior teams take centre stage, it's time to look at England under-20s versus Scotland under-20s. Big win, 57-13, and I've been really interested in following the England under-20s, particularly looking at the players and who might well come through, because that's really what this is all about, developing players for the senior team. But it does look odds on like they're going to win the Six Nations once again and get a Grand Slam. It'd be great if they can close it out. They've done very well here, putting away Scotland, who put up some decent resistance in the first half physically, and then had a good 10-minute spell in the second half where they looked decent in attack. But apart from that, they got pretty well dominated and very much outclassed by England. So welcome to this match report, supported by Sports News Blitz once again. Let's go through the match and talk about these England players. Now, straight away, England were on the attack, and Douglas, the flanker for Scotland, the open side, saved them twice, and he's a big player for them, having already played for the seniors. I'm sure he'll go on and play for the seniors more, and he was definitely their best jackler and their carrier, actually, so fair play to him. But England were getting the ball through the hands a lot better compared to the first two rounds. Jack Bracken, the winger, looking incredibly dangerous every time he touched the ball. Best game for him for sure. In the last game, we could see how dangerous he was, but it couldn't quite stick, as for a lot of the players in the rain against France. Now, one of the massive pluses for England in these last 2 years for the under-20s is the props, is the front rows in general. Tight head prop looks well stacked coming into the future. We know Asher Apoko-Fajor has broken through. Billy Sello was on the squad today. Raymond started and he looked class as well. And, just talking about all these front rowers, Tuipulotu we'll talk about, that is looking a very strong area to come for England at just the right time. Play at tight head, but yeah, that's a really good thing. And the Scottish scrum was decent, actually. They've been good all tournament. They hadn't conceded a scrum penalty until this game, which they did, and they competed pretty well in this first half and then got pulverised in the second half. But anyway, the first try was on 5 minutes as Riddle, the winger, big, long, lanky winger, he scores on debut, and it's an absolute worldie, really. He simply catches it and burns around two Scottish defenders. It was two backs. I think it was the outside centre and the winger. So that was blistering pace. I don't know what Scotland were doing there. They should really have covered him a bit better, but this guy can move, so that's 5-0. Douglas, though, is the man for Scotland, and off a good 50-22, he powers inches short and setting up a crossfield kick perfectly. Irwin, the fly half for Fergus Watson, really good score. So from the off, it's a competitive game, 5-all. Let's talk about Lucas Friday, the 9, the heartbeat of the side, and he had to go off injured, which is a massive shame. He limped off, but he wasn't being helped off, so hopefully that's not too major, because he's a serious player. He wins a jackal this time, and England trying to put the ball through the hands. As we've seen in this Six Nations, it hasn't quite worked a lot, but they can always go back to the maul, which is what they do here. And Kepu Tuipulotu finishes well, breaking off a couple of metres out, so that is 12-5. That maul has been a massive weapon for England under-20s, as they can rumble forward and then the power men can break off it. The problem in this first half is that every time they score, they can't collect the restart and clear. Timmins goes off his feet. He's starting instead of Henry Pollock, who's with the senior squad. Clear hands on the floor, so that wasn't a great one. And Scotland go 5 metres from a driving line out, and they've got a big scrum, like I said, so they're looking fairly decent. Tom Burrow, the captain's given away a couple of errors as well. One missed restart, losing the ball in contact. And in his interview, he was very honest and said, the coaches want him to improve his carrying, which is tricky for a guy who's such a lighthouse. He's still growing. He's going to be a bit lanky. When he fills out, that's going to become a lot better, because he is a really good technical operator and did a lot better in the second half. Then on 20 minutes, a second touch of class from Jack Bracken on the counter-attack. A really good catch and break. Clean break this time, and Friday's in support. Then it goes a little bit loose and Friday has to limp off then. But, they're just attacking, and it's going to come. But even though they're not converting everything, England are just attacking, and Scotland are trapped in their own half. Kane James always carrying. Big Junior Kapoku, Olamide Sadeki, big dents, and that was a big difference between the two teams. Just those English forwards that could make those go-forward thrusts. Bracken, loads of touches, and Scotland fly half Irwin flaps a bit desperately as there's an overlap and he cops a yellow. But against the run of play, Scotland score the next points. It's Fergus Watson again showing good pace down the wing, leads to an offside penalty. They take the point, so that is 12-8. Now, if you saw my interview earlier in the week with attack coach Dave Walder and Kane James, they kind of let slip that they were going to use Kapoko more of a runner off the maul rather than a jumper. I thought they might ask me not to publish it, but they didn't, and sometimes it's nice for the opposition to worry about something. And indeed, on 28 minutes, they pile Kapoku up the middle off a shortened line out deep into the Scotland 22, and fullback George Pearson, who had a really good debut, looked very dangerous from fullback. Good lines, making breaks, and then a second surge from Kapoku and a pick and go from starman Kane James, and it's a really good try there off the line out. Well worked, good power, 19-8. And that just about breaks Scotland, as they've been pretty close so far, but the last two scores of the half are for England. On 32 minutes, the best player of the half, really sharp turnover by James in their own half, and Cohen, who's so good at making just good little decisions under pressure, delays the pass to go round the back of the rush defence, and Tuipulotu is free running all the way up to the 22, and he even does an audacious grubber kick which works perfectly to Riddle, and then big tight head Raymond with the final power touch and stretches out a long arm to score. Quality try there, great break, great delay pass, that was a good one. So that's 26-8. Plus another try before the end, as England run the exact same attacking play off a midfield scrum. This time Scotland maybe think it's going to Bracken as the target, so drift a touch too much. And Cohen, who, like I said, is good heads-up player, bursts clean through. Quick phases the other way, and Scotland under so much pressure. No clear release there. Obvious penalty, more yellow card warnings. Line out, Kane James and Tuipulotu, double peel blind. Good rucks, Tuipulotu powers over, looks like he scored, and the TMO agrees. So that is 31-8 at half-time. 3 quick tries in a row for England. That yellow card period conceding 2 of them, and that kind of is the game there. At the beginning of the second half, Scotland know they simply must fight back straight away to stand a chance in this game, and they nearly do it actually. A lovely flash miss pass from Irwin catches Riddle out and they break, but Douglas just knocks on, and that was the big chance for Scotland. They really needed that one, and with the wind behind England now, Hall booms it 70 metres does the centre, and Scotland don't listen to the ref, they don't retreat, and all of a sudden they're back in their own 22, and England score from a lovely blind line-out play. Scotland completely caught unawares. Maybe they think they're going to maul it, and Burrow gallops through like a giraffe. Good try there. Cohen slots the conversion, and all of a sudden it's 38-8. On 47 minutes, the last big impact by the England props before they get replaced. Raymond the tight head intercepts, feeds the rampaging McEachran, and England go deep into the 22, but James is held up in a maul. So Scotland so many points down, they have to run out of the 22, but of course they're going to run into trouble with the big tackles from England. Open side Timmins steals and centres Lillian Hall nearly combine, but knock on, so there's no score there. But a couple of minutes later, there is another try for England. England have rung the changes. They've got the very creative fly half Bellamy on, who is just so harlequins. It's really interesting. Cohen maybe a little more not reliable, but will play the percentages, not make so many mistakes. But Bellamy is all action, very much like Marcus Smith, and against maybe a tiring opposition in the second half, a perfect sort of sub. He immediately switches play for Timmins to hand off and break through. Tuipulotu having his best game of the Six Nations by a long way, heavily involved. England are slicing Scotland apart, attack after attack, Bellamy again exploiting the space. It seems a matter of time, big maul goes close and Bellamy swings it wide, and George Pearson steps his opposite man very nicely to score. So big spell of pressure, they get the breakthrough score, and that really is the game, 45-8 if it wasn't before. Like I said, the Scottish starting props were doing well in the scrum, but England are absolutely dominating now. They've got their replacements on, Scholar at loose head, Billy Seller at tight head, and they are absolutely piling Scotland back like they're on roller skates. Very dominant and carbon copy of the last try, as a maul sucks in players, and a long pass from Bellamy creates the space. This time Bracken getting a well-deserved try, 50-8. He scores that, he gets taken off and replaced by another famous surname winger, son of Martin Afire, Tyler Afire. He has absolute wheels, doesn't quite get many touches on the ball, but he's one to watch in the future. In this second half, the most dangerous man for Scotland is their right winger, the replacement winger, Van Wyk. South African born, very similar to Van der Merwe. He could be his replacement actually, so powerful, so quick. But they can't quite convert, but the third break is converted as blindside Gordon hits a good line to score. So at least they get one back in the second half. 50 points to 13, and they're finishing with their best spell of possession, a good 8 to 10 minutes of attack. But maybe fittingly, England have the last say, 3 minutes to go. Bellamy takes the ball to the line, lovely soft pass to Riddle coming off his wing, and sub-back rower Ainsworth Cave is on with a good break in support, and the flowing move is finished by the centre Angus Hall. So party time for England. 57-13, did exactly what they needed to do. We still saw the dominance of the scrum and the maul, but we saw more attacking play. It was better handling conditions. If they carry this on into Italy and Wales, they really should be winning this Six Nations and the Grand Slam. I'm sure they're not going to say that, of course. They've got to keep their feet firmly rooted to the ground. I'm sure Mark Mappletoft and the team will absolutely do that. But job done there. Let me know who you thought looked really good in this game. Loads of talent on show. Things are looking bright for England in the future. It's not just saying it because they beat Scotland by a big score. All tournament they've been looking very dominant, winning when they haven't been playing well and capitalising this time when they were playing well. Pop those comments below. Do like, do subscribe. That would be awesome. And I'll catch you next time.